Hello, the CyberDudes podcast, coming to you from an unfamiliar location. I am still Robin Thornton, despite being on holiday, and he is still Omar Sangarima. How are things, Omar?
I'm very, very jealous at the moment, but for obvious reasons, because I'm still in my dungeon and you're breathing nice air.
As green as this foliage with envy.
That's very accurate. Honest to goodness, especially with how cold it's been in our neck of the woods these past couple of days. Good grief.
And this is why we made the decision, or one of the reasons we made the decision, to get away to the Caribbean for a few days during a New York winter. It's been, even when it's been raining and windy here, which it actually has. It's rained at least like 3 out of the 5 days that we've been here so far.
Still nice.
It's still quite pleasant. Actually, being in the pool with it raining on me, I'm like, this is lovely. The pool felt like a jacuzzi yesterday, incidentally. So even more envious. The room's got a private pool.
Look at you, Jesus, baller status. Well done.
I know, and had my beer. It's probably not the most professional thing to be doing, like a podcast with a beer, but you know what? I'm on holiday, so
listen. I mean, Joe Rogan's made a career out of being barbecued while doing podcasts, so I think we're okay. Really I can still math right now. There's some podcasts where I think he's seeing the devil. Right?
Okay, actually, now that I think about it, though, there is a really good point about this on the grounds that by the time this goes out, I won't be on holiday anymore, and I'm also not telling you explicitly where I'm on holiday. Good. Because people remember, individuals can use this information.
OPSEC, yeah.
It's all the OPSEC, so don't.
I picked up on that. I picked up on it, and I said nice air. I didn't say what type of air, because I was like, my boy's trying to be up on up, so I can't jam him up that way. So yeah.
Minimally conspicuous.
Yeah, but minimally.
I mean, this is this is a good point, though, from the perspective that I think the thing that strikes me or hits my mind with this kind of thing is like footballers get done with this all the time. Whenever they're like playing an away game a long way from home, you hear about it all the time that the house gets burgled.
That guy got killed. Remember the Pop Smoke? Back in the day, like this is a few years ago now. I only remember because it's part of the capstone assignment for an OSINT course I just took.
Oh, really?
But they went through and showed
one of a number of courses you just took.
Yeah, that's true. And this is my slow season, right? I said to people, but now the OSINT course, it was pretty awesome, and it went through like he how many things he gave away on just social posts. To your point, yeah.
I've always heard a bit of it's the one that always stuck in my mind was Steven Gerrard getting his house broken into, but that's years ago because he retired like about nearly a decade ago now. But don't get yourself burgled or burglarized, as you guys say, which I've always found very, very odd for a culture that's notorious for removing syllables from words. For some reason, for that one, you add one in.
I mean, where I come from, I just we chop it down to even don't get got. That's it.
Yeah, take it down 3. All right. Well, nice. Yeah. Okay, cool. Don't advertise where and when you're on holiday when you're actually on holiday. At least not to the general public. Leave that shit till you get back. Okay, should we do some news?
Let's go. I like that. That's a nice tagline. Leave that shit till you get back.
Keep the gloating. Keep the like point in time gloating to your nearest and dearest. Gloat to everyone else after the fact.
Yep. After you won. Yep. After it's assured. Yeah.
Yup. Okay. Speaking of some holiday-ish related kind of cybercrime, gang arrested after turning Airbnbs into fraud centers is the first headline here that we have from Bleeping Computer.
I'm surprised it took this long. That's all I'm going to say.
This is 8 members of an international cybercrime network stole millions of euros from victims through by using fraud centers that they had set up in luxury Airbnbs. These guys weren't exactly inconspicuous or discreet about flaunting their wealth. I mean, this conspicuousness and flaunting doesn't really.
And now
inconspicuousness
finally,
and flaunting doesn't go together. So,
now Motel 6 and the Super 8 are joining the conversation and finally pissed at Airbnb because those places have been used for other types of illicit activities for decades.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. I know exactly where you're going with that. I mean, Airbnb itself, I feel as though touts some pretty egregious fraud with all the cleaning fees for the sake of you tearing off the sheets and putting everything in the washing machine yourself anyway.
All in pricing.
$200 later.
Please, like, even when Ticketmaster is ahead of you in ethical business practices, you should take a long look in the mirror.
Definitely. Anyway, these guys were arrested by Europol about 2 weeks ago. And yeah, that's that. Moving on. Federal Appeals Court upholds law threatening US TikTok ban. This is from Info Security magazine. It's the rumbling that's been going on for a little while. Basically, Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit back on Friday, 6th of December, decided that the case kind of has no merit and it doesn't infringe free speech, and that the law actually does do what it's supposed to do in terms of mitigating risks from a foreign adversary.
It mitigates
have lots of opinions
espionage.
on this,
it mitigates espionage is what it does, not free speech. Espionage, my friends.
Yeah, I mean, well, and so this is something that I put out on a YouTube short and slashed on Instagram as well. If you're so bothered about free speech, there is a megalomaniac who owns a social media platform and describes himself as a free speech absolutionist. So just go there
and yell.
You've got no problem.
And see what happens. Yeah.
Yell into the void.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We also have Microsoft multi-factor authentication Earthquake flaw enabled unlimited brute force attempts without alerts. This was an error in Microsoft multi-factor authentication implementation that allowed attackers to try as many one-time passcodes as they possibly could, outside actually the 30-second window that typically exists whereby those one-time passcodes expire. In some cases, that window is expanded to 3 minutes, which allowed that degree of just trial and error attempts against somebody's account, and there was no notifications in there for the end user. Now, luckily, this has been patched already. They followed the responsible disclosure principles for whoever found it. I think it actually says them in here. Oasis Security, right? They said very discreetly to Microsoft, "Oh, by the way, we found this thing," and to quote a Simpson line, "That's bad."
Yeah, I mean, being able to essentially brute force without rate limits is,
pretty
like
awful.
Application security 101. It's still in the OWASP top 10 for a reason. So, thanks, Microsoft.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, and see, that's the thing. Like, I can completely understand, like, because not everybody, because sometimes your connection is a little bit sluggish and it takes a little bit longer for that to come through. Longer than 30 seconds is fine. Like, if you want to have it as like 90 seconds to be able to actually receive the one-time passcode, so effectively you've probably got like 3 that are valid at any one time, and that's sort of okay, but at least limit it to like 3 attempts in terms of putting it in. Don't have all of that going all in one go. It seems wild. I'm amazed that was something that got overlooked.
Sad.
Yeah. Anyway, big news of the last couple of weeks has been to do with US telecoms and Salt Typhoon. So, as far as a spotlight piece, Omar, do you want to dive into that for us and with a little piece from your friend from Oregon, Senator Ron Wyden? That's a real
Listen,
tongue twister. That one Wyden.
Riding with Wyden. I just wish, as I've told you, right? Like, I think he unfortunately might be at the top of where he's going to hit. But, you know, if he progresses and he comes to any place where I can vote for him, I absolutely would. He's always been a watchdog. Now, it was only a matter of time, really, before I think his portfolio came across this egregious telecom hack. Egregious on 17 fronts. It's almost to the point where I'm almost not mad at Salt Typhoon. I am, because I'm still, you know, a resident of the United States of America, and they're just out here listening in on everything. But if you're gonna, you know, it's almost like, Tiger.
There's a degree of I can't be mad because I'm kind of impressed.
There's that, and there's also, well, kind of along those lines, right? A Jaguar is going to do Jaguar shit, right? It's going to jump on you when you're not looking and bite you in the skull, right? Like, you just keep your eyes on the swivel for a fucking Jaguar. The same thing here. Like, it's, if you're going to leave the doors and windows wide open, or you're going to tell them, hey, don't look here, and you leave the key under the mat, classic, you know, backdoor type situation. And if it's also a backdoor that was essentially cajoled, extorted / mandated from the telecom companies by good old FBI, Homeland, take your pick of U.S. Law enforcement agencies, then you're going to have a bad time. There's never a safe way to install a backdoor and say only the good guys are going to be able to get it, right? That shit only works out in the right way when it's some sort of fail-safe in a movie. Cue the Star Wars reference. I just saw Carry On, completely forgettable film. But, you know, it is what it is. The good guys find a way to mess with the machinery and save the day. Almost.
Have you just spoiled the plot point for? I knew it was too good to be true as well.
Spoil the plot point. What do you mean? All right, like my 10-month-old could come up with a more twisty plot here, and she doesn't know words, like, and it would still be more. There'd be more.
So I knew I was supposed to be suspicious about that film when I saw, and maybe it's because what I saw on social media was written sarcastically but fell foul of Poe's law, where you can't tell whether it's sarcasm or serious on the internet, because somebody was pitching that was actually a really, really good film. Although actually I think I do remember as well looking at the Wikipedia and going, it was released to generally positive reviews. But I don't know. It's supposed to be like a Die Hard-esque, like a modern Die Hard.
Listen, I will say that it made my top 5 of what we were going to watch on Saturday evening. So I'm not ragging it too much, but to say it was a cookie cutter plot would be insulting the rigidity of cookie cutters in general. It was really just paint by numbers, right? Like, I mean, my wife fell asleep. She woke up like with the last 5 minutes, and then I did a little quiz, and she told me how the movie played out. I was like, you either are sleeping with your eyes open, or this thing was pretty generic, and I went with the latter. But back to Wyden, we have a quick recap. There's backdoors in all major telecom systems, put there essentially by force, or do this or else, or we're going to do some modern McCarthyism, by the by United States law enforcement agencies. So the telecoms folks agreed because they wanted to keep their monopolistic or controls over our airwaves secure, right, from antitrust. So they're there.
The kill.
Exactly. Yeah, good call. But then a foreign actor.
Air quotes for listeners.
Foreign actor got in there, as was just destined to happen. It was impressive by how long they stayed there, though, and how persistent the threat was, and also pervasive, right? So I'm not saying
like a year or something.
It's been more than a year. They're estimating that now at like 18, potentially 36 months. Like this, they just it's like a Hunt for Red October, right? They go quiet and they stay there forever. P could be, we could add another P for pervasive to APT, so to be apt but it would really make no sense. So they're there.
Son of
they're
God
there.
on a bicycle.
Yes, they'd be there. They were there for a while. Who the hell knows what they've heard? To your point, I will say, to be even-handed with this, you mentioned this maybe a couple weeks ago when we were talking about it then, was, if and then also a couple of our leadership at the 9 to 5 go, listen, if they're listening into what I'm texting via text, I mean, good for them. There's because anything that's serious or that matters, we're using secure channels anyway, which ended up being our advice, coincidentally, prior to hearing that advice from folks that we hold in high esteem. So we were right, thankfully, right? Use Signal, don't use Telegram. If something's important, encrypt the shit out of it. Thank you. That's my TED Talk. So Wyden is out here. What I love with this piece, with this follow-up right now, is he's basically trying to call for a law to put into place actual rules that were bandied about very recently. By very recently, I mean 1994. All right,
under the guise of "I told you so."
Yeah, which really hurts me because it makes me feel washed as shit because 94 is now 30 years ago. So there's that at that point. But you have rules. And he came in with this absolute gem of, I think the telecoms have proven that self-regulation doesn't work for them. So maybe we should do something about that. I don't know, being part of the Senate, which is part of a body that should be doing laws and shit for the United States. So he's out here, and having gone the extra mile for you, Robin, and for our faithful listeners, I read the law. First thing, impressed this shit. It's only 4 pages. Which told me, which I wasn't really doubting because Wyden is the man. It was written well. It's not asking for a lot. It's very cogent, which tells me it probably won't get passed in this modern climate. But sadly, it's all it's asking for is, hey, do what you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. What you said you were going to do in 94. We're going to make rules. Take CISA and the Department of National Intelligence best practices or advice when you're coming up with the requirements. Check the requirements annually. Tell us about mitigation plans at least quarterly. The aspect that I really liked, and I think it was on about page 3 if I recall correctly, was the attestation for following this is not just to be signed by the CISO, it's also to be signed by the CEO of the telecom. And that, my friends, exactly, bringing corporate governance and security governance into a Mike Tyson now Kiss sort of situation. So finally, they're getting their shit together. And you have a really succinct, well-written, when I opened it up, I said, how much of an overachiever do I want to feel like to prepare for today? But no, 4 pages. Very well written. Sets it up so that the FCC is the enforcement body here, which it absolutely should be, considering the scope of what we're talking about. And so I have zero faith that this thing is actually going to get passed because it makes too much sense. I'll kick it to you.
Which is kind of horseshit because we live now in the era of populism, which it's been bandied around as a dirty word in politics, where it's just like literally give the people what they want, no matter how dumb it is. But I think we're maybe coming out of the dumb era of populism and into the era of like, can we just have some sensible things, please? But
like
we won't
direct
democracy
and
yeah. But I mean, this is the argument to say that Brexit was direct democracy, and that didn't do fantastic.
Hey, that was
proven
the
not to have done fantastically well.
That's the pre-era. Stop it. All right.
But don't tell me that people have got more intelligence since 2016. Anyway,
I can't. No way.
I mean, now veering into the sort of like realms of like nanny state telling people what's good for them. But I mean, I feel like this is the kind of thing that everybody can get on board with, just as the same thing as like, can we go after and prosecute all the idiots that call me at all hours of day trying to offer me loans that I don't need, right? That's the kind of thing that would get traction. Can we lock those people up because they're a nuisance, right?
Yeah. The worst people.
I guess that comes to it. It's the Chinese went hacked the system, and there is legislative simple legislation there to mitigate it, but we are cynics and we're thinking that that's not gonna get through.
I mean, this might get Wyden assassinated. Like it's so well put together. It makes so much sense, but it would ruffle so much moneyed feathers.
Yeah.
That I hope he's in a bunker somewhere in Oregon. Audio switched a little bit, but it still sounds good, but it's different.
My first gen AirPods I think I'm just going to leave this in. My first gen AirPods are showing their age. The battery does not give me all that much these days.
Oh.
But what we're going to do here, do you know what? I'm going to flip to we will do a quick cut here. I might throw an advert in. We'll do a quick cut here because I'm going to go get my wired earphones.
Did your credit card bill suck in 2024? Well, here's a way you can save $600. According to Credit Karma, the average family of 4 in the US in 2024 spent $1,000 a month on groceries. But if you switch all your grocery spending to one of these American Express Blue Cash preferred cards, you can get 6% back on those expenses every single month, as well as 3% on gas. That translates to a lot of savings. So if you want to save 6% on your groceries with one of these Amex Blue Cash preferred cards, there's a link in the description of this video. Not only that, with a qualifying spend of $3,000 in the first 6 months, you'll also get a $250 cash back bonus. Everyone's a winner.
Hello, and we're back after a quick audio switch because, technology is never easy.
Keeps us employed.
But it's not. Speaking of technology that will not be easy, I can't imagine. At any rate, we're going from we'll continue the cynicism of our last piece, and we'll skip into not easy technology. And in actual fact, this involves some pretty mind-bending physics. So by no means is this easy technology. Google says its breakthrough quantum chip can't break modern cryptography. Now, for those of you who are not on board with quantum mechanics or computing, I don't blame you. It's real mind-bending, like I said. But the real worry around quantum computing is that it's so insanely powerful and so insanely fast that all modern encryption and cryptography technology will be... Oh, what's a good metaphor for this? Will be a chocolate teapot.
Nicely done. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be as much good as a one-legged man in an arse-kicking contest.
Hey, that's more of my alley.
Yeah.
Cheers, sir. Well done.
So
you'd be surprised.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, right? So what's your understanding of how all this quantum stuff happens? Because I dallied with it briefly in my studies and went, this is conceptually really cool, but I cannot deal with the math, so no, never again.
Yeah. And a shout out to a couple of mentees who've asked me, hey, does cyber have a lot of math? And I go, only if you want it to, right? Depending on what area you want to deep dive into.
Andy said that a few months ago. He goes, like, I've never had to use the cryptography stuff that I did before because it's just so kind of uber nerd. But
even subnetting, right? You have calculators now that can do it for you. So that's not even a thing. But
simply by saying subnetting, you're already way out of my area of expertise.
Hey, shout out to all the folks, our network security pals. Anyway,
seriously smart dudes.
Yeah.
What's your kind of
stuff can be the 1 or 0 at the same time.
Pretty much bang on. Yeah. So it's like standard computers, 1s and 0s, on, off, yes, no. And if you consider things as a number line, you've got your 1 here and your 0 over here. Or, your number lines go 0 in the middle, and you've got all your positives over here, and you've got all your negatives over here. And what quantum computing does is use another line that goes up, which is all the imaginary numbers, which is like square root of -1. Which technically speaking doesn't exist, but mathematicians make it exist because they like creating problems for people.
and then solving them,
and then solving them to show
prizes,
giving each other a pat on the back, showing each other how smart they really are. Nothing against mathematicians, very, very clever people, but you do solve problems, you do create problems for the sake of it. Sometimes they're really, really accidentally useful. So to your point, right? The quantum stuff, 1 and 0 at the same time. And I remember reading something about this that was, this is about 15 years ago, a conventional computer trying to find a given number in a phone book. Starts at the beginning, starts at the end, kind of goes through, sort of meets in the middle, does trial and error, does that. And the explanation for how a quantum computer does it was basically uses all this extra power and just goes, there. And it's right. Absolutely wild. Now, once again, the real fear here is with quantum computing is it's going to be so good that it just instantly cracks all the modern cryptography. And the fact that Google has released one is, it's released its 4th one, I think, in the space of something like 15 years. And the nub of it is basically this is nowhere near powerful enough still to do it. This thing has 105 qubits, which is quantum bits. So bits and bytes being the 1s and 0s. The quantum bits are the 1s, 0s, and both at the same time. This thing has 105 physical qubits worth of computing power, which already makes it a metric shit ton more powerful than anything else of the same kind of size and scale ever invented. However, it would still take 10 years running continuously to crack current encryption methods just by brute forcing them. So we're already kind of a little bit safe there. But also, in order to do this more or less instantly, you require 200 million qubits to do it. So none of this, we're kind of safe for the time being.
For now, yeah.
Yeah. But it's still, I mean, it's pretty damn cool stuff, but much in the same way that all of this Salt Typhoon stuff has been very like, oh, China's got all your calls and texts. It's not really something that we need to worry about, at least not right now. So any of the alarm that's kind of around this is like, and that's a problem that's some way down the road. Let's not go all sort of, 4 horsemen in the apocalypse about it.
Not yet. Anyway, I think there's always the possibility that they're lying. That's one that I like to throw in there for all my tinfoil hats.
They?
They. Exactly.
Who is they?
Those darn people. The same people that run the space lasers. No. The folks. The fine folks.
No.
Yeah. No, of course not. Absolutely not. But the same folks that.
I'm more worried about the people who claim the space lasers.
I'm more worried about a company that says, said at one point, let's not be evil, then very quietly took that out of much of their publications when they figured out that, hey, wait a second, evil's profitable. But you have
evil pays.
Evil makes money. Greed is good, right? So there could be that.
Gordon.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it always pops up because now my baby daughter's hair, anytime we slick it back after the shower, is completely Gordon. I will get you a picture. She's Gordina Gecko. I swear. Just the combo of Chris and mine's hair is just anyway. So you have that situation. And I will say, I completely, in all seriousness and in all honesty, I'm with you. We're safe for now. This is not something to, let's not throw all your money into gold and bottle caps and buy guns and ammo and all that shit. But cool thought experiments that I've been hearing in relation to this is that weird place in the Venn diagram where AI and this technology are going to overlap. One side of the coin is more so to be able to get more efficient compute, right? Because a lot of the AI folks have started to see potentially a little leveling off of the Moore's Law's effect that they've been cashing in on. I think. So.
Well, Moore's Law doesn't really exist anymore, does it?
Well, kind of. I mean,
it fades off and then comes back.
Yeah, and it did for a bit, at least after the last winter, which is where you see the OpenAI, you see Grok, you see Claude, you see all these other different companies now. It's all the rage, right? They're leaked, right? It's so in right now. But you have situations where there's, again, these are still thought experiments. So I want to caveat it there. Where, do you turn AI on AI to try to figure out innovative ways to get around, any hard limitations on physical compute? Do you throw in quantum computing to then supercharge it back up again? And potentially, recursively, I guess, do you use AI to figure out a way to get around that gulf that you mentioned in terms of needing certain amounts of qubits to break that modern set of cryptography? Because I will leave, I'll leave it. Yeah, I'll leave it with this. Places that I respect, not even just, cool thought experiment type stuff, but places that I respect, aka NIST, is taking this seriously enough to try to then, in parallel as this technology, as quantum computing is gearing up, to set out standards or pick a standard, as it's done for all the other modern ones, to pick a standard for the quantum computing age. So if NIST takes it seriously enough, even where the tech is now, I'll go with where they're going. So it's not yet here, but it's good to prepare.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of a good point in that, actually, to a large extent. I mean, let's face it, like, ChatGPT, generative AI, although that we knew that it was coming, I don't think we anticipated exactly when it was coming. I didn't realize that it was just going to be sort of like dropped on us right there and then suddenly be like a big thing. Like, everybody had been kind of like sleeping on the fact that it's sort of imminent. And as a result, it was like, oh, well, then how do we secure this? And it's like, this quantum thing is enough, at least within the people or within the communities that are like, know what's going on and know how it's progressing, are going, it's kind of a bit of a problem there. And it is a problem that we really should sort out beforehand, because if we don't, then we are all, helically inclined, screwed. But rotated on a helically inclined plane.
It's a really nice way to say it.
Yeah, I can't remember where I picked that up from, but yeah, it was. I remember reading it and going, funny way of saying screwed. Yeah, I think it is a good thing to get ahead of this, and yeah, we really should. Anywho, right, on that bombshell, brilliant bombshell is more like a sort of like taper off, isn't it? We will leave it at that. We were going to. We're a couple of weeks behind on feature episodes, partly because what are the reasons really? Last week I was preparing to come on holiday. This week I am on holiday. It's just too much. Might not even have one next week because at the end of the day, Christmas.
There is that, yeah. That's now the rest of the world. Yeah,
we'll see. Oh, and look, my wife just plopped into shot. Still recording, Nicole. You're in the podcast now. Doesn't she look lovely though?
Absolutely. Right. The holiday air is helping you both. Yes,
definitely. Right. Anywho, we will leave it there. We'll see you again next week. And if you've enjoyed this, please do the like or the follow and or the subscribe and all of that sort of stuff, because it's nice to have the community and it helps my self-esteem. So and yours. I'm the more, I feel like I'm the more like, oh no kind of one.
Oh, good.
You're so easy breezy and everything about this. Like, whatever. Anywho,
Could be in jail. I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm here. Oh, gravy.
yes. Okay. See you again next week. Thank you, folks.
Adios.
Bye.